evening, everybody, or should I say happy Sunday to you, because,
yeah, really,
man, this show went long. Welcome to Wrestleview Live number 61, the first of, well, now 2 Wrestleview Lives. Wrestleview.com will be presenting to you this weekend on the same day, actually, because I'm sure tomorrow, later today, for Wrestleview Live for Extreme Rules, Extreme Rules probably won't go till about midnight, and then they'll be coming on. I think they'll probably be on at a reasonable time, around 10:30, maybe 11 o'clock, and you won't have to stay up all that late, okay? I promise. But thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. I'm Mike Tedesco, editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com.
And I'm Victoria Tedesco,
our brand new intrepid reporter. I don't know if anybody was on the website today, but Victoria is now our scoop person.
Yeah.
She is our social media queen. So Victoria will be providing more gossips and,
spilling tea with Victoria.
Yes, Victoria will be spilling the tea. So goodness gracious. It's a family affair here at Wrestleview, if you didn't know already. Okay, let's say hi to some people that are crazy enough and nice enough to be hanging out with us tonight.
We should do some sort of giveaway just for them to.
I know. We got James Lacarenza in the chat room. We got Randy M. Hello T3. I like that. That's a good name for us. That's a really good name for us. We got Steven Butler in the chat room tonight. Has Steven ever been with us before on Post Raw? Steven, we need you on Post Raw, sir. Welcome to the chat room. Nafi Sadat, our dear friend. Our other dear friend Quentin Walters is in the chat room. And if I haven't said hello to you yet, please say hello, and I will make sure that I give you a shout out. Okay, well, we have AEW Fight for the Fallen to talk about tonight. Obviously, because I was recapping Fight for the Fallen, we cannot talk about the Evolve 10th anniversary special that happened because I have not seen it yet. I do plan on watching it. There will be results posted later on Wrestleview, but we had to prioritize, and AEW took priority over the Evolve show for reasons that should be clear. AEW is the hot thing, and hey, that's just that was the decision we had to make. But I promise you we will have results of the Evolve show later. From what I heard, there were some good surprises on that show and some decent wrestling as well. But we have to talk about tonight the third show under the AEW banner, Fight for the Fallen, which really started off as a charity event for the Jacksonville Fire Department and victims of gun violence.
Yeah.
So there was a really neat moment at the end where Mr. Khan, who is the father of Tony Khan, Shad Khan, came out with a check and presented it to, they never actually said who the guy was. At least I didn't catch it because there was just so much going on. They actually ran out of time toward the end. It seemed a little Bush League toward the end because they were so short on time. They cut the Young Bucks off mid-speech after they defeated the Rhodes brothers. And then they presented this check for $150,000, and it was like the match never happened. Cody's just bouncing around, not selling anything. After just taking a Meltzer driver, which is a supposedly devastating double team move. And they presented $150,000 to, I'm guessing, the fire chief of Jacksonville, which was nice. I mean, it was a really nice gesture, not jester. Gesture is something totally different. And, I like that. But there were some aspects of the show that I didn't like. This was definitely the weaker of the 3 shows. So if you don't like opinions that are contrary to yours, just turn it off now, because I'm sure so many people loved it. But I will have some complaints about tonight's show, only because we're getting past the honeymoon period. They're going to be having a TV show in October, and there's a couple things that definitely need to be cleaned up.
Yeah, they need to work on, for sure.
So let's just get right into it. I'll just run down the results of the show real quick, if that's cool with you.
Yeah. And then,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
why not? Yeah.
Whatever.
All right, so we got MJF, Sammy Guevara, and Shawn Spears defeating Darby Allin, Jimmy Havoc, and Joey Janela in the opening match. Brandy Rhodes aligned herself with Awesome Kong, turned heel, and defeated Allie. After the match, Awesome Kong and Aja Kong had an awesome face-to-face showdown.
Face-to-face.
Which got me excited about All Out, if that's going to be the case. The Dark Order pinned... who did they pin? I think it was Jungle Boy. They pinned Jungle Boy, so they defeated Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, as well as Jack Evans and Angelico, in a three-way match to determine who will face the Best Friends at All Out, to determine who will have a first-round bye in the AEW Tag Team Championship Tournament. Man, that is a mouthful.
It's all a cycle.
That's a big stipulation. Hangman Adam Page defeated Kip Sabian. The Lucha Brothers defeated SCU, and after the match, challenged the Young Bucks to a ladder match at All Out. Not entirely clear what will be at the end, what they will be going for in the ladder match, but hey, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Kenny Omega defeated CIMA, and wow, a really, really awesome match. And the Young Bucks defeated the Rhodes Brothers in a super duper long match that at times was making me a little crazy because it was just going on forever. Okay, let's just go through match by match. Well, number one, let's talk about what we liked the most. So I will start with you, Victoria.
No, come back to me. I have to think about it.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I liked the most was the Kenny Omega versus CIMA match, which was just a knockdown, drag-out brawl. Hey, Mex Guy, how are you? He's in the chat room as well. It was just a knockdown, drag-out brawl. Great wrestling. A lot of fun. Those guys, it was one of those matches that kind of built slow, but then when it got rolling, this thing was rolling. Meteora after Meteora after Meteora. Yeah, like I wasn't a big fan of kicking out of every single Meteora, but it started to make sense. It was almost like, a heavyweight boxing match where they were just throwing punch after punch, throwing their best punches, seeing if they could get the guy down, and they couldn't get him down. Not every, I'm starting to see that not every finisher has to finish the match, which is okay. And it was just like one of those like Ali Tyson, like what you would imagine if those two ever fought in a dream match, just throwing haymakers and just trying to beat each other down. And eventually Kenny Omega came out. Man, that was an awesome match. Very, very much a Japanese style kind of match. And I just loved it.
Okay, I thought about it because at first I was between Page versus Sabian, and I'll explain why a little bit later while we break down the show. But definitely the highlight was the Kenny Omega and the CIMA match, and the only reason, and which was surprising to me, only because for the past two events that pay-per-view events that they've had for AEW, I've been like hardcore like the Young Bucks, and I've been like that was like always my match of the night was like that their whatever tag match they were involved in.
Okay.
And I'm not saying I didn't like some of the stuff in that match, but I was just that I thought was going to be my favorite, like if I had to predict. But it wound up actually being the Kenny Omega and the CIMA match for the same reasons, only because it was just you had brawls, but you had also had the slow build. I like progression in matches. So, and I just like a good fight. You know what I mean? Like I just like when you throw a good punch here and there, but you also bring a story to it.
Yeah.
So, and I felt like they told a story.
I agree with that. There were some matches and probably the best matches for me of the night were the ones that definitely did tell a story. Mm-hmm. So let's start off by talking about this opening 6-man tag match where this is where the commentary, at times commentary was very spotty tonight. I really, really, really noticed and just couldn't get past just how awkward Alex Marvez is on the commentary microphone. He looks awkward when they're showing him on camera. You can just tell his body language is just like so off. He just looks awkward. He looked like he was just nervous as hell, and it came through. I just, and it wasn't like Jim Ross was completely 100% on his game tonight. There were times when the match was supposed to be picking up, and Jim Ross is kind of like just doing his thing, talking about like, I forget, there was like one line in the Rhodes match where I was like, what the hell is he talking about? he started talking. I forget what it was, what the exact terminology was, but Jim was off his game, especially when he was talking about CIMA. They were talking about how CIMA has on both arms his wife's name in Greek and his daughter's name in Greek, which reminds him of like what he's fighting for. And Alex Marvez, I guess, gave that little tidbit, and then Jim called him out and was like, well, what do they mean? And then, of course, Marvez was like, I have no idea. It was like, oh, my God. Bush League?
Well, yeah, well, that's the thing. It's, again, very surprising that Jim Ross was spotty at times, only because it's Jim Ross. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
I don't remember which segment it was or after which match it was, but there was a time where there was just this very awkward moment, and maybe because there were so many awkward moments, but there was this really awkward moment where Jim Ross just stopped talking mid-sentence, and it was just like, Jim, are you all right? Yeah. Like, it was like, where did he go? Like, he totally lost his train of thought. And then the other two were like, what? Like, what? How do we fix that?
Like, Excalibur is really good. Excalibur, like, really carried a lot of the commentary tonight. Because Jim was not on his game. You know, they kept talking about the heat. It was 85 degrees in the amphitheater or something like that.
Maybe it was getting to their heads. Who knows?
Maybe, but man, like, you're right. There were rough times, especially like when they were showing the commentary, and they really have to work on this before they get to TNT.
Yeah,
because it does come off as like we don't know how to pace out a show or time things out. Because they would sit there, and then Jim's like, well, I guess we're going to go to a video. Is that where we're going to a video? Okay, I think we're going to a video. So just stay tuned. It's like, what? Just transition it into the match, and then just go into the video. Like what is this like weird, bizarre, machinations that they have to go through just to get there? It's like, can we, move a little bit here?
I agree.
Especially when the show is dragging.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because you rather just get to the point of the match, and then if a package comes up, then it comes up. But to kind of just like be awkwardly in a moment of like, oh, I'm not really sure what we're doing next. Like,
yeah,
and I can, weird. I can give credit to somebody who's like, I really don't actually, because they obviously were not totally in sync with producers and whoever. You know what I mean? And the communication was not there tonight. Same time, though, less is more. Just don't say anything at all. Like, you know, and I know it's their job, but it was uncomfortably, like, really awkward, like, at moments. Like I said, the stopping mid-sentence, it's like, all right, well, at least finish your train of thought, please. Like, whoa.
And let's be fair. It's their third show. Obviously, there's going to be some hiccups that need to be fixed, but I wouldn't use Alex Marvez again. He's had 2 mediocre showings. I think if you just had Jim and Excalibur, that's fine. In fact, I think the 3-man commentary booth sucks across the border, not just on this company, in the other company as well. In WWE, it's terrible. And it's like you have 3 people, they're trying to run over, they're basically running over each other. It doesn't need to be so convoluted. Why can't it just be 2 guys having a conversation? You have the play-by-play guy, and then you have the color guy. That's all you need. What is the third person? What is the point of the third person? What is Alex Marvez's total point here at all?
Well, here's the thing. I think Alex Marvez of the previous show was a little bit better, but tonight was just kind of like, again, back to whatever the first night he was doing. You know what I mean? But I agree. When you have too many people talking about one thing, there's always that third person that's like almost like the third wheel in the conversation.
Yeah.
They just don't really belong in the commentary. And they should really reconsider having that form and method.
No doubt.
Or getting somebody else. But
yep.
I think you rather just get to the 2 who can do it.
Right.
And let them build a connection more, and then that's it.
I agree 100%. Like if you want to, be a little different, you want to be a different alternative brand, at least do the commentary right. Let's get the commentary going here. Get rid of these 3-man booths. Like James Lacrenza says, or Lacerenza, I feel like I always butcher his last name. He says, Excalibur and Jim Ross is all we need for the main show. Alex Marvez can be a backstage interviewer.
Why not?
That would be totally fine with me.
And maybe
totally
who
fine.
knows? Maybe they are going with that route. We
Maybe
we really don't know
they
because we haven't had our first TV production.
Right. They did that at Fyter Fest when they had Golden Boy on commentary. And Golden Boy I thought was not bad at all at Fyter Fest 2 weeks ago. Hey, Sweet Lou Veraldi in the chat room. Hello, sir. Okay. So let's talk about the opening 6-man tag because I actually really like this one. MJF, Sammy Guevara, and Sean Spears, who wants to be known as the chairman, playing off of the controversial chair shot he gave to Cody Rhodes 2 weeks ago, versus Darby Allin, who also, we didn't really talk about it on the Fyter Fest show, but the coffin drop onto the apron was definitely a dangerous move, but that's not going to wreck your brain. If you want to wreck your body, and flame out, nobody ever said anything about Jeff Hardy. I'm not going to say anything about what Darby Allin's doing, okay? Jimmy Havoc, Jeff Hardy, tough day for him, and Joey Janela. Okay, there was a lot of stories in this match, and I actually thought this was the one real highlight of the commentary tonight where they really laid out the stories for this match. MJF is Cody's best friend. He's being forced to team with Sean Spears, who hit Cody over the head with a chair. So there was some tension there as they were going.
Absolutely.
Jimmy Havoc, Darby Allin, Joey Janela, they were kind of forced to team up too. So all these tensions were coming through on top of all these guys just hating each other in general. I thought this was a fun match, especially when Joey Janela was pretty solid in this one. Joey Janela, who had a little run-in with Enzo Amore this week. Ugh. God, why is that guy still a thing? I really like the moment, though, when MJF was mocking Sean Spears on the apron and did his perfect 10 taunt. He did a cartwheel, did the 10, and then he gave him the double bird, which I was like, okay, that was a little edgy. I can kind of get behind that. That was not the last double birds we would see tonight.
It was a central theme for the night, I find.
Yes. The double birds were a flying tonight, much to the detriment of this show, actually. It got to the point where it started feeling like a little trashy. But overall, this was a fun match. Sean Spears looked pretty dominant in this, and he wound up pinning... Oh, who'd he pin? It was Darby Allin, yeah. Darby Allin with the Death Valley Driver for the win. After the match, MJF teased attacking Sean Spears, but then he wound up just backing off. I thought this was a fun opener. Told a good story.
Yeah, I agree. I really have nothing else really add some more to it, only because I think you said it perfectly. It was just a fun little match, and this definitely was the highlight for the commentary.
Yeah.
When you're getting to know these guys in these type of tag matches, they are really a necessity, and they definitely fulfilled their obligation tonight to tell the story of each of these men.
Yeah.
Very well. And what the men did in the match also told a very good story.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with MJF, though. I got to tell you, he is just killing it. And after that Rosie O'Donnell video you showed me of him on there,
right. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
The video of MJF as a 5-year-old appearing on the Rosie O'Donnell show, I believe in 1998.
Like, he's so charismatic even then. He just that little personality. And then, listen, he grew up. He's a wrestler and he fulfilled his dreams, and good for him.
Yeah.
But but just his whole shtick is just really something special to me.
Yeah.
Out of all the guys that, I think everybody did very well, and everybody told a story for sure. But he is just a standout person to me.
Yeah.
His whole character is something that I am totally behind.
Right. He's one of those guys that he has such a good personality, and I think he's pretty decent in the ring. I'm really surprised that WWE didn't scoop him up and sign him to a talent deal a while ago. So he's a great get for AEW. If you want to stand out and have a great heel that can get the crowd going, open up a show. He doesn't have to be a main eventer or anything like that. This is your guy.
He's versatile. He's gonna be great for TV.
Yes,
he's gonna be extremely. If they can utilize him well for when they go to TNT, he's going to be
no doubt
the go-to.
No doubt
for segments.
No doubt, and he's they're looking to go against scripted promos, which I'm all for. and he can cut a promo on the fly and do his thing and make it entertaining. And what more could you ask for?
Yeah.
If you're looking for an alternative, you hate the scripted promos, this is it. There you go. Okay. Brandy Rhodes versus Allie on the next match. Allie is coming off a match against Leva Bates on the Fyter Fest pre-show 2 weeks ago that I thought was less than mediocre. And to say it was a mediocre match would do a huge disservice to mediocre matches. I thought they had an awful, atrocious, abysmal match. as that pre-show was awful, atrocious, and abysmal. The pre-show for Fight for the Fallen was much better. I will say that. They did this great video package, though, where Brandy Rhodes was talking, she was crying and talking about, how she's gotten into her head, with the injuries and stuff like that she can't do this, she can't wrestle, They talked about her inexperience, she's only had 3 years of experience pretty much. And this was going to be her chance to show that she can do it, not for her husband, for herself. She really, and it was a great emotional thing. She gets in the ring with Allie. The crowd is behind Brandy. And then all of a sudden, Awesome Kong comes out. Awesome Kong, who Brandy brought into AEW at a Double or Nothing. And so another callback, another good piece of storytelling.
Point of reference, yep.
Yep. And Brandy turned. Brandy is a heel, which was really cool. Definitely a different way than I thought they were going, for sure. And she used Awesome Kong to her advantage to defeat Allie, but all those things she was talking about in the video about, wanting to prove herself, it was like, I've seen Brandy Rhodes wrestle sporadically through the years, just on tapes of what she used to do at I guess NXT and FCW and whatever. She has not improved at all. This was a rough match. There were some mistimed spots. The finish was definitely mistimed. Allie wasn't in position, and she was going to go for her bionic spear, and Allie just was not ready, so she had to hit the ropes again. There was a couple miscues. But overall, I thought it was successful in what they were trying to do, which was turn Brandy. And then after the match, which was super awesome, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No. That's fine.
Was Aja Kong coming out because Brandy and Awesome Kong were going to double team Allie, and then Aja Kong came out to make the save by walking as slow as humanly possible. They could have hit 15 power bombs on Allie in the interim before Aja Kong got there. But Aja Kong is coming off of ACL surgery, but she will be ready for All Out. And man, I think the match, if you're looking for a technical wrestling match, Aja Kong and Awesome Kong is not going to be for you, but it has potential to be really freaking awesome as a hard-hitting, brutal, big lady match. So, what say you?
Yeah, no. Okay, so for this, agreed. It was definitely, there's a lot of things wrong with this match. There was no flow, and there was a lot of issues. But the huge but to all this, when there's a good story, everybody was invested into the story. The crowd did not really seem to care about the spots in the match that really didn't make it a good match, but because of the story, you're invested.
Yeah, that's a really great point.
That's why I think a lot of people, including myself, can kind of look past the technical stuff. I think with Cody being her husband, and I think now that she's very heavily involved, clearly in this company, and if she keeps training, maybe she'll get there. She hasn't really had a consistent time frame of putting on these matches. So
no, certainly not.
So now that the spotlight's more on her, and it's going to be on her clearly, because they're a huge asset to this company, that, again, somebody who could tell a good story could kind of mask the wrestling. You can kind of forgive an individual for not being quite there yet.
Right.
But you also can give her credit for really going out there and putting herself out there. Because if that were me, if I were still kind of in the works of wanting to do this, and I wasn't fully comfortable going out there, I probably just wouldn't go out there and I'd be like, no, I'm not ready yet.
I know.
But she's putting herself out there,
and
that's very telling to who she is.
Right. It wasn't a good match by any stretch, but sometimes bad matches can get over if the crowd understands what they're trying to do, doesn't want to totally bomb on it. Because I think about other matches that have happened in the past with something the crowd's really not into, and they're trying to do a story and they just crap all over it. They didn't crap all over this.
They did not.
And in fact, that this is one of those moments where a crowd can make something bad and turn it into something good. The match was bad. The storytelling was actually well done. They got the story over. They got two things over. They made Brandy a heel, which is what they were looking for, and somebody that's going to use Awesome Kong to her advantage. So now we got Awesome Kong involved in the mix, and it set up nicely Aja Kong and Awesome Kong for probably All Out, if I had to guess. But yeah, it was not good wrestling, but good storytelling. So that was a really good point, Victoria. Very, very nice. Very nice. Okay. Let's see. Okay, this match, I believe I'm definitely going to cause some controversy.
Oh, me too. I'll let you go first, but
thank you. Yeah. Okay, so we got the Dark Order, Stu Grayson and Evil Uno taking on Jack Evans and Angelico and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus with Marco Stunt. Okay. Where do I begin? I know a lot of people love this match, and I actually had a little back and forth with somebody on Twitter who made me see why, it wasn't a bad match. There was a lot of stuff going on, and the crowd loved it. So if the crowd loves it, then, they're doing something right. Either that or the crowd just loves people flipping around a lot, which is whatever, To me, that's whatever. I'm looking for storytelling. I'm looking for things that make sense. I'm looking for something that really, I could be interested in. I want to see professional wrestling. I don't want to see a gymnastics event. And that's kind of what we got here tonight, in my opinion. This was just total spot fest, junk wrestling. Just, they were just doing things over and over again. And, this is the third match on the card. There were some devastating moves being done. Luchasaurus was going nuts, and Luchasaurus was incredibly over. Giant dude, wearing a mask, green tongue, spin kicking everybody, doing standing moonsaults. The guy's like, well over 6 foot, just crushing people. And, then you have got a guy like Evil Uno in the match doing a somersault senton off the top rope and just doing all this stuff, and people are just kicking out. It's like, by the time the match ends, it's like, I've already seen a trillion kickouts. No one's selling anything, and it's just anticlimactic. That part I definitely didn't like. It was just way too spotty. Way too spotty. And the second thing I didn't like, this is a triple threat tag. Now, I've harped for a long time, years on my recaps, almost a year on the post-Raw show. Triple threat tags in WWE make no sense to me, because why on earth, even if you were in desperate trouble, would you ever tag in somebody who's not on your team? Why would you ever forfeit a chance to win, especially in a match like this? Now, this is for a chance to go to All Out to face the best friends and see who could get a first round bye in the AEW Tag Team Championship tournament that's coming up in the fall for TNT. Why? I don't understand the reasoning behind why AEW couldn't fix an absolute logic flaw in professional wrestling. A triple threat match, you don't have, if it's a single triple threat match, you don't tag in the guy on the apron who's waiting to come in. It's just all three guys in the ring. Why on earth in a tag team match are all three guys not in the ring? Doesn't make sense to me. That was another thing that definitely hurt for me, because I really was hoping that would be something that would get fixed here, and instead it was just the usual crap. I did not like Evil Uno, who's this big dude. They have put the Dark Order over on the last two shows. The Dark Order definitely said they were coming for the best friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta. On the pre-show for Fyter Fest at Double or Nothing, they attacked everybody and laid them out and were put over as a super dominating force. So why do you have Evil Uno, this big, giant dude wearing a mask who's supposed to be super serious, and Stu Grayson, who's supposed to be super serious, taunting the crowd and doing the, like the ha-ha junk. That just made no sense to me at all. And I thought that Evil Uno was way not he should be booked like a monster. He should be acting like a monster. He was acting like a clown through this most of the time. Very, very, very disappointing. I think Evans and Angelico, now I'm going to start nitpicking a little bit. I think Evans and Angelico need a wardrobe change desperately because the green makes them look like two guys that walked in from a backyard wrestling fed and got a contract.
I said the same thing a while back.
Yeah, that
needs to go.
That is just not conducive to what I think a serious contender for your viewership looks like. And overall it was just junk wrestling. It was just a lot of trampoline stuff, kicking out of finishers, which later on in the show, it's like, okay, it worked here and the crowd was going crazy. They loved all these kickouts and these devastating moves, but it took away from matches later on in the show when now they're doing finisher kickouts and they're not getting over as much because we already saw 37 finisher kickouts in the triple threat tag. So pacing and match creation, and match layout needs to be prioritized a little more for the undercard. And they need to be checking with their main event matches because this was to me. I know the crowd loved it. I know people were telling me that I was wrong and this was a great match. Sorry, not for me. Not for me.
Here's the thing. So this is the reason why this didn't work on a logical perspective. But I'm going to tell you something. Out of all the matches tonight, if I have a friend who's never watched pro wrestling before, right? Guess what? Out of all the matches tonight, if I want to sell this product, I'm actually going to show them this match. I'll tell you why. The reason why I'm going to show them this match is because you did have a lot of spots. You had a lot of flips. You had a lot of kickouts. You had this. You had that. It was so fast-paced. It was so action-packed. You're going to show them this match because they don't know anything about wrestling, okay? So they're going to be engaged into the whole fact that this is a show. This is an acrobatic show. So they're going to be amazed by what these individuals can do. So yeah, out of all these matches tonight, you're going to show them this match because they don't know what's going on. But if you're really a true wrestling fan, you have to think about this logically, which we don't always do, but you really need to. From the minute that that bell rang, it did not make sense with, like you said, with when you're having this tag match and you're having this 3 people need to be in the ring. It's such a simple fix and it's effective because it makes sense. There was no reason for you to tag to somebody else. It was almost embarrassing to see Jungle Boy tag to Angelico and Jack Evans and for them to miss.
Right. In such an important match.
To a non-wrestling fan, oh, wow, but it made no sense. Things that were going on and the way that people were interfering at the apron, because some people were like, oh, no, that wasn't really a tag. That was just really an interference. No. When they're out by the apron and you touch that individual, that technically should be a tag for the other individual to come into the match. And since it's kind of this forum right now, anybody really can go. I could tag anybody at any time. So it looked weird that, when they're trying to beat somebody up at the apron and they're touching them, technically they're in the match. That continuity wasn't there. It was too all over the place. It was too sporadic. There was way too much going on. Again, you want to show a non-wrestler to make them maybe watch a product? You'll show them this match because it had a lot of the tricks and the high flips and all those crazy little things that just get a crowd to pop and say, wow, these guys are amazing. And it's not taking away from any of these individuals. These individuals actually had a great showing in the sense of they really can move. They really can be acrobatic.
Right.
But to somebody who, the smarter wrestling fan, you should not have been so naive and being so whatever. Oh my God, this is the most amazing match ever. You got tricked for somebody who's the non-wrestling fan.
Right.
This is somebody who's new to wrestling, and you want to engage them into the product, and you're like, look what wrestling has to offer. Are these guys amazing? Because they did show really amazing things. but it did not make sense.
Right.
They had so many flaws within this. It was confusing. I was like, wait, that just happened with that. Wait, isn't he tagged now? Is he
right?
Not
right.
Come on.
And, I mean, even Jim Ross is like, okay, enough. But which I guess if you're the lead commentary voice, you shouldn't be doing. But he's like, okay, like, can we just get some order in this match? This is getting like ridiculous. And like using logic. I know it's the dirty word when we do the post-Raw show. And
sorry, I just said it like 5 times.
Honestly, you do need to suspend logic when we're on the post-Raw show. AEW is asking you to bring to use your logical brains and bring that back, because they're talking about how the referee. I mean, they're talking to both sides of their mouth here. They're talking about how the referee is the supreme authority, and like rules matter and tag matches matter and results matter. You can't say that and then have a match where the referee can't get any order. Jim Ross is like, why isn't the referee doing anything here? And just crap is just happening. Like, this was just a disaster for me. An absolute disaster.
But don't you agree with me though, in the sense of, yes, to a non-wrestler who's never been exposed to any form of pro wrestling, you would give them this match. But for a fan itself, for somebody who's been watching for many, many years and who's trying to bring some logic back into pro wrestling, this is not a good match.
No.
But you would agree with me though on the other aspect of it.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, and in a way, it was counterproductive to what AEW is trying to do, which is and also another thing I have to say, they should be putting the polish on this product right now to get it ready for the TNT debut in the fall. Look, I'm not, a prude or anything like that. You've heard me, on the post-Raw show, and I go off on my rants. Sometimes I drop an F-bomb here, use some colorful language there. I'm sorry. I get it. Like, Attitude Era Steve Austin giving the middle finger was cool. I thought the MJF middle finger to Shawn Spears was okay, because like they could basically have a blood feud if they really wanted to, since MJF is Cody's best friend. But like there was middle fingers in this match. There was middle fingers in the main event. There was I counted at least 5 Marco Stunt giving the middle finger. I counted at least 5 instances of people giving the middle finger, or double middle fingers. And it's like, okay, it was cool once. Okay, twice. Okay, 3. All right, enough. It's starting to look like white trash entertainment, like when you start doing that. And that's something that they don't want to be doing. They don't, you want to, you have your niche audience now, and I get it. The niche audience is probably only watching this show now. But because it is free on the Bleacher Report app in the United States and Canada, you could buy it on Fight TV internationally. If you're trying to market this to people, let's just say, somebody's curious about it. Oh, I heard about this alternative. It's just like, okay, yeah, they're alternative. All right. It's like when TNA had Mr. Anderson saying asshole all the time. He just kept that was his thing. Oh, my asshole's in the audience. And that was like he just said asshole over and over and over again. It's like, this isn't edgy anymore. Now it's just stupid.
Right.
It's like,
I
enough
agree.
with the middle fingers again. And that's something that there needs to be communication when you're booking matches. And like, if you're like, okay, this is the spot where you're going to do the middle finger. This is going to be really cool. It's going to get over. Okay. Well,
so it should happen 4 other times throughout the night.
It shouldn't happen 9 other times in the middle matches. If Dustin Rhodes is going to give middle fingers to Matt Jackson or Nick Jackson or whatever, like, that should be reserved, and that's the main event. That should be reserved for the main event, and that's it, to get the big pop, because there was absolutely no pop for it whatsoever. It just, to me, it just made no sense. I really hated this tag team match. Sorry. Just didn't like it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get whatever later backlash, but I really don't care.
It doesn't matter.
I don't care.
No, we're not gonna get backlash. I think if people actually think about it, they will realize what we're saying is true. Okay. They did get the show back on track with Hangman Adam Page and Kip Sabian.
Agreed.
They told a good story. Adam Page had his knee taped up at the Double or Nothing pre-show. Had it taped up at Fight for the Fallen. I'm sorry, at Fighter Fest. There's too many fights. Tonight he didn't have it taped up, and they were talking about, well, this is a mistake for him to come into this match against Kip Sabian without his knee taped up, and he's got to think about his main event against Jericho for the AEW World Title. What if he gets injured? What is this going to do to the main event of All Out? It was a good story being told on commentary. The crowd was quite dead for this, which almost made me question it. This is two pay-per-views in a row, not pay-per-views, 2 free events in a row that Adam Page had matches where it was kind of a quiet crowd. Made me think almost, is he connecting? Is this the right guy? Is he just there because he's part of being the elite and they're pushing their friend or whatever? It definitely did raise some concerns with me. They had a good match, a solid wrestling match. The story was told well. The crowd was dead, probably because they thought they knew Adam Page was winning, which is fine. That's totally fine. But if Adam Page is going to win, cut the match length in half. This show ran pretty long. It didn't need to go, like if you're going to cut something down, cut this match down a little bit, just in terms of match pacing. And also the crowd, I'm sure, was dead from the triple threat tag, which really wasn't a triple threat tag. It was like, 2 guys.
It was just a hot mess. You know what? I have to be honest here. So I'm not gonna get a lot of.
I'm glad you're honest.
I'm not gonna get a lot of people who agree with me, but this is one of my favorite matches, only because, listen, the crowd was dull. They were totally not as heavily invested into it. I'm okay with that, but the reason why I'm connecting with Paige is because I'm looking at somebody who can tell a story in the ring, and his opponent definitely did the same thing tonight. So even if I know somebody's going to win, but they're still putting in the effort to put in a good story, I'm good with that. I absolutely loved, my favorite part of the match was when he did the moonsault.
Okay.
Off the top of the turnbuckle or the apron. Yeah. And the reason why, because it was just so much ease into it. It wasn't the dramatic, like, oh, I'm climbing my way up to the top and then I'm going to do it. And then whatever. It just had such a flow. It was so cool of how quick it was. And it wasn't like this drama behind it, but it was such a cool spot in the match. And it was just amazing to see. So that's why this happened to be one of my favorites. And again, the crowd was into it from the hype from the other match beforehand. There was a lot going on. All their screaming and the oohs and ahs were all out of the way for this match. And I kind of wish this was placed a little bit differently. I don't know where I would have placed it, to be honest with you, throughout the night. But this was actually one of the better matches that really did tell a story. And these men really did put up a good, even though it was slow at parts, it was still really, really good. So again, people aren't going to really agree with me on it, but the truth of the matter is, if you look at it again logically, this was actually a great match, and these guys had something. It was technically solid. It was fine. It told a good story. The post-match attack by Jericho, which we're looking at right now on the GIF, he was playing one of the creepers of the Dark Order, attacking Adam Page. Was well done. I loved that Jericho got a little color out of Page, and that because that added to it. That definitely got the crowd invested. Like you said, that moonsault with his knee and all that stuff, that got the crowd invested. It was good setup for the main event for All Out, at least, or one of the main events for All Out. I don't know if if it were me, I wouldn't close the show with Adam Page. I just wouldn't, and I'll explain more about that in a little bit. Because I don't think he's connecting with the crowd. I don't know if he has. I'm connecting with him, so I have a different.
I know you're vibing. I know you're vibing with him, but I didn't feel at any point when I was listening to the crowd reacting to Adam Page, even when he was getting beat down. I thought this was well done. When he came out later, okay, I'll just skip to it real quick. When Jericho has the live mic, and he's running down Jacksonville and he's trying, the crowd is just dead. I don't know if it's the heat or if it's just they don't really want to boo Chris Jericho because they view him as a legitimate wrestling legend or whatever it is. When Page came out for the brawl, it just, Jericho built it up well, but the crowd just wasn't there. The pull apart wasn't there. it almost made me think, is Paige the right guy to put in this big spot where you're going to go, where you're trying to establish a world championship? You know, if it were me, you know, like, I would give the title to Jericho, you know, like right off the bat. You know, I think he'll be able to establish it. He'll bring some immediate credibility to it. But if you're trying to establish something, I don't know if Adam Page is the right guy for it. Time will tell. We'll have to see. You know, that's it. The next show is All Out. And I'm sorry, like, you know, I'm not going to watch Being the Elite to see if this guy can get over. You have to get over on, you know, at the shows. You know, like, I don't care, you know, what YouTube shows you do. The Being the Elite thing, you know, there's a lot of inside humor on these shows sometimes with that show. It doesn't connect to somebody who's just coming into the product. That's all.
And see, I have a differing opinion because I feel like there's so much potential there. And I really do hope that the crowd sees kind of what maybe the minority of the fans see in him, because I am really digging what he's doing right now. Yeah. Again, I don't know if it's placement. I don't know what it is, but I like him a lot. Yep.
Yeah, but building these shows on Being the Elite, you know, when you go to TNT, that's got to change. That's definitely got to change as well. Okay, skipping on. Yeah, there's really not much to say else about Jericho's promo.
No.
You know, it was, you know, he's doing
Jericho. He's just...
Yeah, he was just doing his thing and trying to get the crowd to boo him, and they just didn't want to boo him. And, you know, I don't know. Just doesn't feel like a good main event to me. SCU versus the Lucha Brothers. Now, this was fun. Just for, you know, back and forth tag team action. Yeah. You know, I gotta say, the big highlight for me was... You're going to think I'm crazy.
Oh, gosh.
But you know how I feel about Charles Robinson. I think he's the greatest referee of all time.
He's your favorite.
I've said for years. This started as a thing when I first
you
started.
two are buddies.
When I first started recapping, Mr. V picked his favorite referee, and I picked my favorite referee. I think he liked John Cone or something like that. And I picked Charles Robinson as my favorite referee. And I would actually put in my recaps for the longest time, Charles Robinson, the greatest referee of all time. And I just kept doing it for years. Every time I see Charles Robinson, I still do that. But my favorite female referee is Aubrey Edwards, and she was by far one of the big highlights of this match for me. She was, you know, they had a thing, you know, because especially after that cluster, you know what, of a match, of the triple threat tag, you know, where there was no order and there's just crap happening and just nothing, you know, meant anything. Right off the bat, SCU and the Lucha Brothers are in the ring, and they get into a shoving match, and she steps in the middle and convincingly, that's key.
That's key. That's the key thing.
Because they keep talking about how the referees are the main authority in AEW. She convincingly told them to go back to your corners and regained order. That was a huge moment, and the crowd loved it. You know, and then she got involved a little later, right in the middle of the match, which I didn't really care for. It's like, if you're having a big match, you know, like, why are we putting the brakes on right in the middle for Pentagon and Scorpio Sky to dance and do the, you know, I fear, you know, whatever the Cerro Negro thing that he does. You know, like, why are we stopping the match to do that? But then when he took his glove off and he threw it to Aubrey Edwards, she dropped it and the crowd started booing. So Pentagon picked up the glove again and then threw it to her. She caught it and she got a humongous pop. And she didn't corpse. She didn't break character. She didn't start smiling or whatever, like, oh, you know, crowd, you know. She looked like an authority figure. I loved everything about Aubrey Edwards in this match.
She was a superstar in the match, for
She was my favorite part of the entire match. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, this was great on their part to bring that alternative to bringing back a referee authority to that's what their job's supposed to be for. Otherwise, it's like, if it's going to be a free for all, why even have a ref? Like, you know? Right. So no, I definitely agree with that.
But once the match started to get going now, you know, getting back to them, I thought it was really good. I liked, you know, the Lucha Brothers going outside and just taking Christopher Daniels out, knowing that he's going to get involved. And then Aubrey Edwards, again, getting involved, convincingly sends Christopher Daniels, even though he was the one who first got attacked, then he retaliated. It's just better to send him to the back to regain order. I thought she was awesome in that as well. And then they went on to have a pretty darn good match.
Hey.
You know, there was a lot of DDTs in this match, and Jim Ross was like, how many DDTs are we going to see? By God, something's got to give. A few clunky spots in this, of course. Like the past two events, we've seen the Lucha Brothers go against the Young Bucks. So we saw pretty close to awesome, perfection of tag team wrestling. So there were a few moments here which, was just a little like disconcerting to me. I was like, oh my goodness. It's like, I just, I'm just so used to them having like awesome matches that when somebody's out of position and they're like, it was like, oh man, it's like taking, kind of breaks the illusion for me a little bit.
I know exactly what you mean on that. Yeah.
But there were definitely some spots in this match where people were out of position and they weren't ready, and there was pausing, and then like again, Jim Ross, you're supposed to cover for it, not just like be like, yeah, they are rusty, they stink. It's like, yeah, they had a match 2 weeks ago, how can they be rusty? But he's like, oh yeah, like they are definitely not on the same page tonight, which I guess you should say, because everybody else is seeing it. It kind of kills credibility a little bit, but cover up just a tiny bit for them.
Yeah, like, show them some mercy.
Right. Don't mercifully brutalize them on commentary for being a little off.
I think Jim Ross is just no filter. He's
right.
Like,
yeah, he doesn't care anymore.
He's like, whatever.
But like on a regular in regular sports, the same thing happens. Like if somebody's off, the commentators talk about it, and if they're going to book this like a sport, which they seem to be doing, they will. That's definitely the right move, is to I guess kind of call it out. So I guess I just kind of changed my mind right on the air. Yeah. So it was good overall. The post match attack with the ladder was really well done. The Lucha Brothers, obviously their English is a little rough, so when they challenged the Young Bucks, it was a little difficult to understand initially what they were saying. I didn't do well at Spanish in high school, so I really missed a lot of it, and I'm sure there were some words that they used in Spanish that I definitely wouldn't have been taught in high school Spanish. But they challenged the Young Bucks to a ladder match at All Out. I don't know exactly what is going to be at the end of that ladder that they're trying to reach for, but I'm sure we'll find out more as the weeks go on. But I gotta say, like, if you were trying to sell All Out, that totally sold me on it, because I really want to see that Young Bucks Lucha Brothers match. That's going to be pretty kick butt,
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this is good stuff. All right, moving on. This is even better stuff. Cena versus Kenny Omega. They built this as a dream match, and it really was. It was wrestling to me. This was wrestling. This is about as good as it gets with wrestling.
Yes.
Just two guys that, basically they're just master artists. The ring is their canvas, and they're just sitting there, and they're just standing there, and you're watching Rembrandt paint. That's what it felt like to me.
Oh man,
it was totally awesome, start to finish.
I didn't want to like Kenny Omega this much. I didn't want to.
I know. Yeah,
because there was, and I don't want to say why.
No, say why.
All right,
I know
fine.
why. I know why.
Because Meltzer is like obsessed with him, and I have to say, over the past few shows that I've been listening to, I've been agreeing with him a lot more, which I never really thought I would do. But he just would go nuts over Kenny Omega. So it was like automatically, it didn't matter if Kenny Omega wasn't even wrestling. It was automatically like a million stars, like, because it's Kenny Omega, and because it was Kenny Omega involved.
Right.
But oh my God, all the hype behind him, and he's actually like living up to it.
Yeah, and he's actually as good as advertised.
I love you.
Yeah. and let's not take away from Shima either. He was totally awesome.
He was so good. I love his style of wrestling.
He's been going forever, and this guy can go, man. Like the Meteoras were totally awesome. It's like, Sasha Banks, go the hell away.
This is exactly like
with your Meteoras.
See, this is
Shima was
exactly
crushing it. Like the Meteor off the whatever that is, the platform onto Kenny Omega on the tiny timekeeper's table was just ridiculous. I got to show the gif of it right now, but man, this was just hard hitting. They were just beating the garbage out of each other, absolutely murdering each other with chops and punches, and it was just Amazing. Here it is. Oh man, that looked nasty on the tiny timekeeper's table. Wow. Yeah, that's just a great visual. And then again, another, and then Kenny Omega catches him trying a Meteora. That's some real power.
I mean,
there.
come on,
man. Oh man. And then the snap. Oh my god, insane. The V trigger, man. This it started slow, and I was like, oh boy, this isn't gonna get over with the crowd. They're not into this.
Oh no, they did.
And it picked up in a big way, and once they got rolling, this crowd was just eating it up by the spoonful. And so was I.
Yes,
so was I.
Yes.
I wasn't expecting to like this match that much. I was like, whenever you build something, I've seen it enough in wrestling where you build something as a dream match and it misses the mark.
Yeah.
I've seen
big
that
letdowns
too many times than I care to mention. This was totally everything that it was billed to be, and they delivered in a big way.
Damn you.
This was just so awesome. And Omega, he's going to be going against Jon Moxley. They already built that match up, so no Jon Moxley sighting tonight. Just Kenny Omega just drops him with a V-trigger and a one-winged angel for the win. But, man, they went back and forth. This had, I believe it had a half-hour time limit, and they went about 20 minutes. And I could have easily seen them go another 10, 15. Because it was just so damn good. It was almost like when the one-winged angel was hit, I just wasn't even ready for it to be done. I wanted to see more. I guess if that's the one criticism I can make for it, I actually wanted to see. I wanted to see more of this.
Absolutely, yeah. No, amazing. They really were, and they just captivated the entire crowd, and I was so mad. I was so mad at the very end. I'm like, why did I love this match so much? But it really was everything that you can ask for and then some.
Right. Yep. That's the best way to put it. Victoria's crushing it tonight on the segs.
Yeah, okay.
You are. Okay. So whereas I could have seen Kenny and Shima go another 10, 15 minutes, I would have absolutely loved if the Rhodes brothers versus the Young Bucks went 10 to 15 minutes shorter than it did, because this match was well over a half hour. By the time it started, it was already 11 o'clock Eastern. This was just a slog to get through. So after seeing the Rhodes brothers create magic at Double or Nothing, and I've seen them have a million great tag matches. When I was covering SmackDown, they would routinely book the Rhodes brothers to just have random matches just to fill up time, and they delivered every time, like some spectacular match that I just thought was just beyond like anything that I was used to on television. They crushed it when they were at their peak in WWE. They were the tag team to me. They did not, for me, they did not capture that magic tonight. The Young Bucks, like they were telling this cutesy little story where, the Young Bucks were obviously making fun of them, and it was hard hitting, so like there wasn't as many flips, there wasn't as many high spots in this, because it was more of a personal match, because they were making fun of their big moment at Double or Nothing. But man, there was an extended beatdown period with the Rhodes brothers, who to me were the faces, just attacking Matt Jackson's shoulder. And after a while, I was like, okay, can we get to the next part of this match now? Like, Jesus, like these are the faces just going to town on who's being booked right now as the heel. I'm good. I've seen them attack his arm for about 15 minutes. And at that point I was like, they're just doing this just so they can say they had a super long match. Yes. And it just, this main event just totally missed the mark for me.
It did. And I was so disappointed because, again, like I said before, these past two shows, anything the Young Bucks have been involved with, that was my favorite match of the night.
Yeah,
so
it was disappointing.
I was so looking forward to. I'm like, this is definitely gonna be my favorite match. This is gonna be their main event. I'm gonna say like, wow, my favorite match of the night. Young Bucks did it again, 3 for 3.
Right.
And it did not happen. It went way too long. over exaggeration on certain spots. They didn't seem to connect the way the Young Bucks, the way that they normally do with other tag matches, other tag partners rather. And now it makes me question. So you know how you were questioning Paige before?
Yeah.
Like, can they connect? Can he connect with the crowd? Do the Young Bucks need opponents that are as high flying and action packed as they are in order to put on a good match?
Right.
Does it need to be less time with them because they just like what? And I'm not trying, like I said, I'm not trying to discredit them because everybody in that ring obviously can wrestle. There's no doubt about it. But are your opponents not matching up to what your style is? And to me, if you have totally different styles, you could still have a really good match. And if you're not able to adapt in that sense, I don't know. I really wanted to like be like impressed and say like, wow, this was it. Just didn't do it for me. It didn't at all. So,
right. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. But you know, like I think if the show was a little shorter, if they didn't have to have like these. Oh my god, that was like that's all I heard.
I'm so thirsty.
Okay, like if this. If they cut down on the triple threat tag and the Hangman Page match and the match and the show was like a half hour shorter, if they started this match at 10:30, like I don't think I would have been so fatigued like watching this, but at certain points I was just like, God, just let's get to the finish. To me, it felt like it never got really out of like first or second gear. It just never really picked up for me.
Yeah.
I know some people were talking about, I love the psychological aspect of this, and yeah, it was okay.
It's all right.
To me, like you know, and Randy made a good point. You know, like the body part manipulation, that was well done here. You know, the way they worked on Matt's arm, but I would have cut that entire section in half. The pacing of the middle of this match was just. It just dragged. It just did. Like you can have a good match. This would have been a phenomenal. If this match was 20 minutes, 25 minutes, it would have been phenomenal. Instead, it's like 10, 15 minutes, way too long. And that's what hurt it for me. I'm not saying it was a bad match. I'm just saying it just went too damn long.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. It really didn't do anything for me.
Right.
And I don't think the connection was there. I don't. I didn't see what everybody else saw. I don't.
And then because it went so long, like you could tell like they knew they were running out of time, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, you're doing all this stuff, you're hitting double crossroads, bionic elbows, this and that. We're doing double middle fingers, you know, we're 30 minutes into this match, double super kicks, all this crap going on. And then like and it's kick out. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, Meltzer driver, and it's over. It was anticlimactic. Like the finish didn't even build well, just because it was just like, okay, we've seen again, and that's where the undercard hurt this show, because I've already seen a gazillion kickouts and I've seen a gazillion finishers.
You're exhausted.
So when you hit one, it's just like, oh, that ended the match. Well, okay, and that was it. And then they had to, and then after the match, they were trying to do something where the Young Bucks were like, you guys, you know, we always heard the myth of the Rhodes brothers, and you guys are the best tag team we've ever been in the ring with. And then music started playing. They're like, I guess we're running out of time. And it was like, oh my God, there was obviously more they were going to say. I don't know if it was going to set something up, but because it's time to just move on, they had to stop, and then they had to go into, you know,
they had
to go into executive vice president mode. Which it just looked so bush league.
It killed them.
It killed the ending of that match even more for me, because they did, you know, they just had this 30-minute, you know, epic, you know, and they were going to, you know, give the respect, and then they didn't even get a chance to do that. You know, again, you know, you're starting up a company. You know, you're going to be on TNT in the fall. You know, you can't have mistakes like this. If the show's already running long and you know you're running out of time, cut 10 minutes from the match. It's not going to hurt this match. And if that 10 minutes is just, you know, cutting in half the Matt Jackson shoulder working over, That's what you just got to do. Then you can have your post-match thing where you give respect, and then you call out the Jacksonville fire department and give them the check and donate it to the town of Jacksonville. And then you can do that without being so rushed. There was a couple instances where they have the Elite in the ring with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks and Cody and Dustin, and there's Mr. Khan in the ring. And they're presenting the check, and they're like, "We're probably not on TV right now." And it's like, "Good Lord, like
you are
like you are on TV. Can you just wrap this freaking thing up and stop sounding so bush league?" I was like, "Oh God," it was just a big miss for me.
Well,
just
here's
a disaster.
The criticisms that I have, which is kind of interesting, only because the fact that they do have a lot of what they do is time limit matches. And they still had a huge problem with the time limits, which was amazing. Like, the time management was just not there tonight at all. And they really got to get it together before they go to production in the fall, because that's not going to fly over well. You have a certain amount of time that you were allotted, and you have to fit that time. You can't go over, and you can't really go under either. You want to criticize WWE for going too long? You had a very long show tonight, and it showed. Yeah. It very much showed.
The fatigue was real.
And the fatigue was real, and the fact that at the end of the night, and listen, I know they're still in the kinks of things, but this is something that they should have worked out. That if something in the match, if we are running out of time, don't do this part of the match. Clearly, they did not care. And it takes away from the moment of the really nice thing they did for Jacksonville, because it was rushed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they were so
I agree.
concerned with the fact that they were not going to be able to talk about and presenting this check. Because really, this is why this show happened tonight.
And that was the whole purpose. Yeah, you're right. That was the whole point of the show, was to make this check for victims of people affected by gun violence, and for what Jacksonville did, with the situation that they had. And then it turned into this thing where, it's like, Cody cuts this promo. It's like, aren't we great because we're giving $150,000 to Jacksonville because the other company wouldn't do that? It was like, oh my God, like, this is just.
They have to stop with the WWE. Stop comparing yourselves and stop whatever.
I know.
And listen.
Well, let me just finish. It was just like, it's like they're talking about, you can counter program us. Like, you can't counter program the revolution. It's like, oh my God, just. If you want to be a revolution, just be a freaking revolution.
You don't need to say it.
Like you're giving $150,000 check. Stop cheapening it by talking about yourselves. Just do the nice thing and move on. And it just came off as just so, we're trying really, really hard. That's just how it felt to me. And then Omega takes the mic and he's like, "Oh, we're not on the air anymore." And then he's just going along and he's rambling on. It's like, oh God, it was just the whole thing. The whole end of this show was just an unmitigated disaster. And it was a nice moment giving them the check. I thought that was really nice. And then it just started devolving into this, like, aren't we great? Don't break your arm patting yourself on the back here.
It should have been, and that should have been a nicer moment. They should have had more time devoted to that. The match should not need to go as long as they did, and they really need to work on their timing. Yeah. For a company that really emphasizes on time limits and everything else,
yep.
Something's got to give, though. You got to figure it out, and you have to do it soon.
No doubt.
Fall's coming up.
No doubt about it. And yeah, and you gotta really, I thought Double or Nothing was as close to a perfect wrestling show as I've seen in a long time, from an American standpoint at least. I thought Fyter Fest was pretty good. This show was mostly, I can't give a thumbs down to.
No, me neither.
I can't give a thumbs down to the show. I thought there was a lot of good things on it, but there were definitely some glaring errors here and some glaring things that need to be fixed.
This is something you should have done. This is something you expected of the first show,
right? And there were some issues on Double or Nothing. Let's not get it twisted here. There definitely were some issues on Double or Nothing with the commentary and transitions and stuff like that. But they were, we're 3 shows in. They were glaring errors here. Really, really big time. And a lot of it is
noticeable.
A lot of it had to do with producing the matches. And, like, I'm sorry, you can't have finisher kickouts, on the second and third match. That just got to go. That's just got to go. I know everybody's like, oh, finisher kickouts forever. No, you can't. Sorry. But I can't give a thumbs down to a show that had Kenny Omega and Shima on it. I just can't physically do that. And let's see what people thought about it on the Twitters. Oh, we got 75% thumbs up, so they're with us. I agree with that. What would you give it a thumbs up?
No, I said before I gave it a thumbs up. I can't give a thumbs down to it, even though it was the weakest of the three shows. It still had great moments. And again, I'm the type of person now, I'm really, really trying to, even though if the end of the show is not great, I still have to look at it overall. And there's some people who are not like that. Some people, that was the big hit or miss moment. It was a miss for them, and they gave it a thumbs down, I'm sure. But overall, I can't, hats off to them. There were a lot of things they did right. There's a lot of things you need to work on.
Right. And hopefully they figure it out. All Out is the next event, and that's going to be a big event. That's going to be one that people have to pay for again, so be prepared for that. All Out's, it should be pretty freaking awesome. It really should. But because it's pay-per-view, because it's going to be, broadcast, the big cable companies are going to be carrying it, this Bleacher Report thing, I think they had a lot of leeway. They had about 4 hours to do this. If it's a 3-hour time limit, if pay-per-view tells you it's going to be a 3-hour time limit, you got to make your mark. Otherwise, you're going to have a WCW moment with like the Goldberg Diamond Dallas Page match that nobody saw because they went off the air. So we don't want any of that. And again, I'm not picking on AEW. I'm rooting for AEW big time. But, we got to call a spade a spade. If you're going to, market yourself as the big alternative and, the next big thing in wrestling, you're gonna be criticized just like anybody else is. So this doesn't mean that we hate AEW or we're not fans.
Not at all.
We want them to.
I was looking forward to the show tonight, and
and you know what? Overall, at the bottom line, I was entertained.
Me too.
So that's what I was looking for. But I'm talking about like the little things, that
that's a work in production
now need to be addressed for a more casual audience rather than the niche audience. All right. With that, we're gonna wrap this up because tomorrow Victoria and I are going to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for Extreme Rules. So tomorrow night, Roy Nemmer will be handling the recap of that, and after that, Doug and Roy will be on Wrestleview Live recapping Extreme Rules, and I think me and Victoria are going to call in and give our live experience. From the show. Yeah. And this does look like a stacked card. I am looking really, really excited. I'm really, really excited about getting to see Extreme Rules tomorrow.
It's crazy. I can't believe it's here already.
And the Evolve show, I'm going to check that out later on. I heard, from what I hear, it's pretty darn good. I can't wait. So we'll check it out.
We'll keep you posted.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Next guy's giving us like the guy in gorilla position for AEW. Come on, wrap it up. Yeah, no, it's like. We enjoyed doing this tonight. It was a lot of fun. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. I know it's 1 a.m. and you're still with us. Boy, you guys are awesome. Thanks everybody. I'm Mike Tedesco.
I'm Victoria Tedesco.
Good night.
Good night.